This is from Kojo in Ghana. I think the moment everything began was the day I realized staying home gave me almost no future. I wasn't chasing anything big. I just wanted a chance to help my family and live a life that felt like it was moving forward. Where I grew up, many young people talked about leaving the country, but it was usually just talk. Jobs were hard to find, school wasn't an option for many of us, and most families were struggling. Every time we saw a big ship at the port, it felt like watching hope move away from us. A few of my friends started discussing stowing away on a cargo ship heading toward Europe. At first I thought they were joking, but they were serious. They said it was our only chance to find work and send money back home. Part of me knew it was dangerous, but another part of me felt tired of watching life stay the same. We made a plan to sneak onto a specific ship at night. One friend knew a small opening near the storage area where workers rarely checked. We didn't tell our families. We just said we were going to look for work at the docks. Deep down, we knew we might not come back that night. When the day came, my nerves were all over the place. The port was busy, but we waited for the right moment and moved when the workers were distracted. We crawled under equipment, stayed low, and eventually slipped into the storage compartment. It was dark, hot, and cramped, but we were inside. At first, we tried to stay positive. We whispered about what we'd do if we made it. Some said they'd find construction work. Others talked about learning a skill. It felt unreal that we were actually on a ship that was leaving Ghana. Even though it was uncomfortable, we thought it would be worth it. By the second day, reality hit us. We didn't have much food, the air felt heavy, and it was hard to move without making noise. Every sound from above made us freeze. We kept telling ourselves to stay quiet so no one would discover us. We were scared, but we kept hoping we'd reach the next port safely. Everything turned upside down when we heard loud footsteps outside the metal door. At first, we thought the workers were just passing by, but the voices got closer, and then the door suddenly opened. The crew looked shocked and angry. They shouted at us, and before we could explain anything, they pulled some of my friends out of the compartment. The situation got worse quickly. The crew was aggressive, and I knew we were in real danger. My friends were taken out one by one. I didn't know what was happening to them, but the sounds and the panic told me it was something terrible. Without thinking, I crawled into a small space behind some crates and tried to make myself invisible. I stayed in that hiding spot for what felt like hours. I was shaking and trying not to make a sound. The ship felt too quiet, like the world had emptied out. I didn't know if the crew would come back, and I didn't know if my friends were still alive. All I knew was that I couldn't move, and I couldn't call for help. I had never felt fear like that in my life. When the ship finally became quiet again, I slowly lifted my head to listen. I didn't hear my friends anymore. No whispering, no movement, just the sound of the ship's engine. That silence scared me more than anything else. I kept telling myself, don't move, just stay alive. It was the only thought that made sense to me in that moment. Hours passed, and my body started cramping from staying in the same position. My throat felt dry, and I hadn't eaten since the day before. Every part of me wanted to get up, but I knew that if the crew found me, I wouldn't have a chance, so I stayed hidden, even though the fear made my body shake nonstop. At some point, I realized the ship wasn't in Ghana anymore. It was out at sea. I could feel the way it moved differently. That scared me even more, because it meant the crew could do anything without anyone knowing. I felt trapped in the middle of the ocean, with people who didn't want me there. I kept thinking about home, about whether anyone even knew I was missing. I don't know how long I stayed hidden. Maybe a full day, maybe longer. I only moved when I had to take a sip of water from my small bottle. I tried not to think about my friends, but the truth kept hitting me. I might be the only one left. I didn't know why I survived, and that thought made my chest feel heavy. The first time I stepped out of the hiding space, I did it slowly and quietly. My legs felt weak, and I had to hold on to some ropes to stay steady. I looked around for any sign of the crew, but the storage area was empty, Even then, I didn't feel safe. I kept imagining someone grabbing me from behind, so I moved quickly back to the dark corner and hid again. Just so you know, many people around the world take dangerous risks when trying to escape poverty. Some hide in trucks, boats, or cargo areas, hoping for a better life. They don't do it to chase luxury, they do it because they feel they have no other choice. These journeys can be unpredictable, and not everyone makes it safely. Anyway, I knew I couldn't stay hidden forever. The ship was still moving, and if I didn't find a way out, I didn't know what the crew might do if they discovered me again. I waited until night, when the ship sounded quieter, and slowly crawled out to look around. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I found a small opening near the side of the ship. I looked through it and saw lights far away, a port. That was the first moment I felt a little hope. If the ship was docking soon, I might have a chance to escape. I kept watching the lights, getting closer and closer, trying to time my moment. When the ship finally slowed down, I knew it was my only chance. I crawled out, keeping low, and moved toward the edge of the deck. I didn't see any crew members near me, but I didn't trust anything. I whispered a small prayer, grabbed the railing, and prepared myself for what I had to do. If I hesitated, I'd lose my only opportunity. I jumped into the water before my fear could stop me. The shock of the cold made my whole body tense up, but I kicked as hard as I could. The waves pushed me around, and I swallowed water more than once, but I kept swimming toward the lights. I didn't know if I'd make it, but I would rather fight for my life than allow myself to be found by that crew. By the time I reached the shore, I was exhausted. My arms felt numb and every breath burned. I crawled onto the sand and lay there for a moment, just trying to understand if I was still alive. The night air felt cold on my skin, but it was the first time in days that I felt safe enough to breathe normally. A group of workers from the port saw me struggling to stand. At first, they were shocked and didn't know what to do. I must have looked terrible, wet, weak, and barely able to speak. One of them ran to get help, while the others tried to support me. I couldn't form full sentences, but I managed to say, "Ship Ghana hiding." They took me to a small room and gave me a blanket and water. I drank slowly because my stomach felt tight from days of fear and hunger. Someone brought me food, and I ate carefully, trying not to get sick. As I warmed up, the workers kept asking questions about what happened on the ship. I couldn't tell them everything at once. The memories were too heavy. Later, local authorities arrived. They spoke calmly, but I could tell they were surprised that I was the only one who survived. I explained what happened in short pieces, stopping whenever my voice shook. They wrote everything down and told me I was lucky to be alive. Hearing that felt strange, because I didn't feel lucky at all. I felt guilty, confused, and overwhelmed. After some time, arrangements were made to send me back to Ghana. The journey home felt unreal. I kept thinking about my friends, how we started together but didn't end together. I didn't know how to face their families. I didn't know what to say or how to explain why I was the only one who made it back. When I finally reached my village, people didn't believe it was me at first. News had already spread that the group didn't survive, so seeing me walk into the neighborhood shocked everyone. My mother broke down crying the second she saw me. I held her tightly, wishing the others could walk back into their homes too. Talking about what happened wasn't easy. Some days I couldn't speak about it at all. Other days I tried, but the words felt heavy in my mouth. People in the village asked what really happened, and I could see the pain in their eyes when I told them. Every family hoped for good news, but there wasn't any I could give them. Survivor's guilt became something I carried quietly. I kept wondering why I lived when the others didn't. I replayed the moments over and over, thinking maybe I could have done more. I know that feeling will completely disappear, but I've learned to live with it little by little. Some days are easier than others. Looking back now, I realize how desperate we were. Desperate enough to risk our lives for a chance at a different future. I don't blame anyone for wanting more. We were young, hopeful, and unaware of how cruel the world could be. I just wish the price hadn't been so high. Thank you for listening to my story. Life can push people into impossible situations. If this story made you think or feel something, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to hear more real stories like this, consider subscribing.